I bet virtual meetings are way more important right now than they were a month ago. Thanks for joining us. I'm here for great ideas. Our series we're kicking off today with my co-founder Sharon and Deirdre Van Nest from Crazy Good Talks. Now, Deirdre, what I want to get into today is how you can really master the virtual meeting. It can't replace sitting down face-to-face across the table with your clients. So how can you really connect through your computer?
Great question. Okay, so 3 quick tips. The first one is please make sure you know your technology in advance. We've all been on that meeting where the person has no clue how to use the technology and you're sitting there patiently waiting for them to get their act together and you start to get impatient. So practice whatever platform you're on. Practice that in advance, do it with a colleague, do it with a friend, but make sure you know how to use that platform so when clients get on, you look like a superstar and it's seamless.
What other tips besides knowing your software can you give us?
Make sure you have a very clear agenda set in advance. If you're getting on with a client, have an agenda for what you want to accomplish in the meeting. Share the agenda with them. Ask them what's on their agenda so that everything lines up, but just please don't wing it.
And there's got to be 3 tips because I know you teased us with 3 tips. What's the third? We know our software. We're ready for the meeting. We've got the agenda. What else?
A lot of advisors like to do is they like to draw out their ideas. Whether you're drawing it on a legal pad, you're drawing it on a whiteboard, you absolutely can continue doing that in your virtual meetings. So 3 options for you. The first is just get a small whiteboard and have that next to you. And you can just be drawing in real time in front of the client. The second is if you have certain things you're going to be drawing, sketch that out in advance on your computer or, handwrite it on a piece of paper, take a picture, put it on the computer and you can screen share. And then the third, and this is something my advisor did with me that I thought was really cool in our client meeting. Let's say you're using Zoom. You would log in with your computer and then you would log in with the iPad. And then you can be having a conversation with the client and drawing on the iPad and the client will see both. So that's a great way to continue to draw your ideas and do it in real time.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool actually.
Those are all fantastic ideas, but what if instead of just doing a one-to-one Zoom meeting, you're doing, say, a webinar with like 100 people? Any different changes? Any mistakes that you should avoid?
Absolutely. Now, you can still use the same rules that apply to the one-on-one meeting, but when you're dealing with a group of people, then things go to the next level. And this is where you need to be really dialed in. Now, the biggest mistake that people make when running any type of virtual meeting or a webinar is they train people to be late. And Sharon, the way they train people to be late is they clog up the beginning of their webinar or their meeting with a whole bunch of announcements, right? And let's say you're a leader and you're going to be doing a virtual meeting every week, people are going to start to learn, Steve always starts the real content 20 minutes into his meeting, so I don't have to show up for 20 minutes. So just like if you've ever heard me talk about how to engage an audience live, same rules apply. You want to open with a bang. So you want to introduce them to the webinar. So you might say, welcome to X and X topic. And then open with a bang, like Laura opened this video beautifully with a provocative statement. And then she moved on into the content. She didn't say, hey, this is Laura with Idea Decanter, and here's what we're going to do, and here's the directions, and blah, 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 blah. Don't do that. Do you want a couple more? Do we have time for 2 more tips?
Yeah, give us 2 more.
Okay. So another tip is to talk as if you're only having a conversation with one person. There aren't a bunch of people on the other side of the camera. There's only one person probably sitting in their office or maybe sitting in their dining room or living room listening to you. You want to talk to them as if you're sitting across the table in your office to one person.
Deirdre, I think that really applies to any kind of video, whether or not it's a live or whether it's recorded, because we're telling our video clients that all the time, to use the you, to imagine that single user, that single viewer on the other side and really try to connect with them.
Absolutely. And it's critical because if you use collective words like everybody, ladies and gentlemen, some of you, how many of you, that kind of thing, people just feel like they're part of a big group. They want to feel like you're just talking directly to them. The more you can use the word you and avoid collective words, collective nouns, the more connected they're going to feel to you.
Absolutely. Give us number 3.
Yeah, and the final one is make sure you figure out ways and times in the presentation or the meeting to get interaction. One of the ways you can do that is by asking questions that you ask them to answer in the chat. And the question can be something that you would have given them information to. So let's say you're quoting a statistic, right? So we're talking about the coronavirus right now, right? So let's say it was, 5% of Americans are going to die from the coronavirus. Instead of telling them that, you could say, what percentage of Americans do you think are going to die from the coronavirus? And have them type their answers in the chat. Right? You also could ask them more open-ended questions. What challenges are you having right now as you're dealing with the economic and the health implications of the coronavirus? And then people could type in their answers, and then you could be dialoguing about that. But get them involved. These are real people on the other side. Don't treat it like you're just talking to a camera or a computer. You're actually talking to people. Get them engaged so they stay with you and they stay on the call and they don't get distracted.
I was just talking to an advisor today, and they were asking me how, when you're doing a Zoom meeting, do you answer the chats at the same time? And I said, you probably need some help. So what's your advice for that sort of scenario?
So I've done it both ways. I prefer to have help. So I've done it where one of my team members, she's on the other end and she's monitoring the chat. I've also done it myself. And I think to do it yourself, you have to be super confident and comfortable with the platform and super confident and comfortable presenting. The last thing you want to do to yourself when it's new is to also be answering the chat. So I think the best practice is to have someone monitoring the chat and feeding you the questions. But you certainly, as you get more experienced and you get more fluid with the technology in your presentation, you certainly could do it on your own if you wanted to or needed to.
Deirdre, thanks for all of these great ideas. We're going to put them to practice ourselves. We hope that you all can put them to practice too and really remove the technology that is between us all right now. And look for more great ideas coming your way from us very soon.